Freak on a Sponge was not your average sponge. He craved adventure.
One day I tied myself to a giant red balloon. It was a rogue balloon. It was not supposed to fly away.
But away it went, carrying Freak on a Sponge all the way to Scotland. The Scottish countryside was beautiful. It was filled with rolling green hills and sparkling lochs.
I decided to stay. I landed right next to a field of fluffy sheep. They looked surprised to see me.
He unpacked his suitcase. It was full of adventure gear and a toothbrush. Freak on a Sponge wasted no time. He built himself a cozy little cottage. It had a thatched roof and a welcome mat.
Then I decided to start a camel farm. Why camels in Scotland, nobody asked. That was just Freak on a Sponge for you.
Life in Scotland was never boring for Freak on a Sponge. He loved riding his camels across the Highlands. He even gave them funny names like Hamish, McTavish and Haggis.
The locals thought I was a wee bit strange, but I didn't mind one bit.
One day, Freak on a Sponge decided to try milking his camels, but they wouldn't cooperate. They snorted and stomped their feet.
Just then, a flock of parrots landed nearby. They were a colorful bunch with feathers of red, blue, and green. Maybe I can milk the parrots.
Now everyone knows that parrots can't be milked, but Freak on a Sponge was not one to be deterred. He chased the squawking parrots around his farm. They were much too fast for him.
One by one, they flew away. They left behind a shower of feathers.
Exhausted and disappointed, Freak on a Sponge trudged back to his cottage. He decided he needed a nice, hot bath. He went into the bathroom and turned on the water. As he was getting ready to brush his teeth, he noticed something strange.
My toothbrush was gone. I searched high and low for my toothbrush. I looked under the bed, behind the curtains, and even inside my teapot, but it was nowhere to be found. Finally, I made a gruesome discovery. My toothbrush was in the toilet.
Freak on a Sponge was horrified. How did his toothbrush end up in the toilet? He was grossed out. He fished it out with a pair of tongs and gave it a good scrub, but the image of his toothbrush bobbing in the toilet bowl was seared into his mind.
Night after night, I lay awake in bed. I stared at the ceiling. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. I thought about my toothbrush. How did it end up in the toilet? Had it jumped in there on its own, or had someone put it there? But who would do such a thing?
Then it hit him. He had invited some of his new Scottish friends over for a Caelid, a Scottish party, a few nights ago. They had all been dancing and singing and having a grand old time. Maybe one of them had played a prank on him. Freak on a Sponge thought about his friends. There was Hamish the sheep, Fiona the Highland cow, and Angus the Nessie hunter. But none of them seemed like the type to pull such a mean prank. Then he remembered Cryptic Clown.
Cryptic Clown was a traveling entertainer who had come to Scotland to perform at the Highland Games.
Cryptic Clown had seemed a bit jealous of Freak on a Sponge's camel farm. He kept making snide remarks about how much easier it would be to train seagulls to do tricks. Could Cryptic Clown have been the culprit? And if so, why? What was Cryptic Clown up to? Freak on a Sponge knew he had to get to the bottom of this.